Hey, seventh graders, it's Mrs. Weiland here. Sorry I'm not there today. I know this is the worst timing because I was gone last class, and then I'm not going to see you guys Thursday because of MAP testing. I'm homesick with the stomach bug that my two children gave me. So I'm going to try to make this quick and do a quick screencast for you of what you're going to be doing today with the sub. Um, Now that you have your big packets in front of you, and hopefully you took a peek at the pacing guide in the front, um, we're going to be spending the next month or so in this unit trying to answer this big essential question right here. How do rocks and fossils provide clues about Earth's past? So to get started, I would like you guys to look at this image of a cross section of rock. I want to clarify a few things here at the bottom. This is a river, and there are some rocks down at the bottom of the image. And then this right here is a strip of rock as well. So what I'd like you to do is talk with your table group about where in the image you feel the oldest rock is located and the youngest rock is located. And you can pause the video now to have that discussion. Okay, so now that hopefully we've heard from a few members of the class sharing where they think the old and the young rock is located and why they think so, now we're going to move ahead to a definition that gets at some basic principles about being able to understand where the old and young rock is. I'm not going to tell you right now with this picture where the old and the young rock happens to be and how we know that. We're going to do you're going to be doing a lot of the thinking today in class to practice some of these basic concepts in geology to figure that out. So I'm going to move ahead to this definition. So if you go to page 1 in your packet, there should be a space at the top for you to write this definition. It's called superposition. And this idea is that the bottom layers of a cross section of rock are always older than the layers on top because the bottom layers had to form first and exist first in order for other layers to form on top of it. So I'm not sure if with that picture, if anyone in class had this type of thinking that the oldest rocks had to be at the bottom and the youngest on top. You were correct if that's what you came up with. And without even knowing it, you were describing this idea of superposition. So if you need to pause the video to allow some time for students to write the definition, that would be a good thing to do. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to be getting a bunch of wooden blocks, and they are up in the front or on the front demo table. You are going to want to do this probably with a group, and I need to... Sorry, I should have had this already pulled up here. Just a second. What you're going to be doing, I'm going to get to your packet page so you can see it. Okay, of course that's not it. Hold on a second. Where did I put it? Okay, well, if I can't find it, I'm just going to keep explaining it to you guys. Here, maybe, nope. Okay, well, I can't find it. Anyway, oh, this might be it. This is the general idea. I can use this one. It doesn't look totally identical to your page, but it's close. So if you look on page 1, you'll see that you have a bunch of these kind of words. These are different things that have been done to the wooden block. So if the sub could hold up the wooden block and kind of show everybody, it's been painted, There's been cuts put into it, it's been drilled, and there's been screws put in. And your job with a group is to try to figure out the order of events, what happened first, second, and third, and so on, all the way up to number 10. Number 10 would be our newest event, the most recent, and event 1 is what happened first, so therefore it's the oldest event. Just like a geologist would look at a cross-section of rock and have to determine the order of events to be able to figure out a story of Earth's history, you are going to do the same thing for this wooden block. So right now, pass the wooden blocks out. You can form into groups of up to 4. And then you're going to write on these lines the order that you think the events happen. And then what I need the sub to do is when kids come up to you to tell you the order of events, you'll see that there's a key sitting in the bucket, like on a little piece of paper, the correct order. Just star the events that they happen to have in the correct space and the exact right spot. And then students, you can just keep trying this a couple times. Some of you will get it the first time. Some of you might never get it during the time allotted today. But the idea, or what's most important to me, is that you are using the kind of thinking a geologist would use when you're trying to solve this order on the wooden block. All right, so give it a go. And then don't forget to come back to the video though, because there's more that you need to hear. Okay, so now that we're back at the video, and you guys have given the wooden block a try, if you want, here is the correct order. You can show this for those kids that maybe never got to it. Okay, so it starts with the yellow paint, and if I look at this image here, I can see that that makes sense. It looks like the blue is speckled over the yellow. Okay, so I'm not going to spend time explaining how all of this makes sense right now, but again, what matters to me is that you were trying to use the type of thinking a geologist uses. It's not that you necessarily got the entire thing correct. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I would like the sub to give you some time to write down these definitions. These are on the bottom of page 1. So when a geologist wants to determine the age of a rock or fossil, they can do this in 2 different ways. They can determine the relative date or relative age of a rock or fossil. That just really tells them the general order of events, like whether or not this fossil A happened and existed on the planet before fossil B. So it's just what came first, second, and third, but it doesn't give scientists exact dates. So here's some examples. We know the Civil War happened prior to World War II, so we could say the Civil War is an older event. So the Civil War's relative age compared to World War II is that it is older. Also, the bedrock in Minnesota existed prior to the glaciers coming through. So the bedrock is older, its relative age is older. We know this to be true because if we look at the bedrock in Minnesota, we can see glacial scratches on it. And with that, we have to conclude that the bedrock must have existed first in order for the glacier to scratch it second. Now, sometimes a scientist will want to know more details about a rock or fossil, and that is what absolute dating or absolute age will allow them to do. This is a process scientists use to try to determine the exact date of a rock or fossil. Now, I'm going to teach you later in the unit how we do that, but for now, just knowing the definition is good. So, for example, we know that the Civil War occurred between 1861 and 1865. So that is the absolute age of the Civil War in a way. We could also say the glaciers left Minnesota 11,000 years ago. That's an absolute age. So anytime you basically attach a number to something, you are determining the absolute age. Okay. So if you need to give more writing time, please do that. But otherwise, if we are ready to move on as a class, here's what you're going to do now. So now it is work time on practicing some of your skills around relative dating and trying to figure out what happened first, second, and third, and so on. So to do that, here's work time. I guess at this point you've all probably done number 1, so that happens to do with the wooden blocks. So now really you're going to be doing number 2. So step 2 happens to be on page 2. So if you'd like, you could follow along in your packet as I describe what you're going to be doing for the remainder of class today. So on page 2, you're going to read the paragraph at the top. You're going to interpret the footprint picture that you see. And at the bottom, there are 5 bulleted events. Your job is to try to put them in order. You can just write the numbers next to the events for the order that you feel makes sense based off of the clues that you see in the picture. You have permission to skip page 3 today. Page 4, you're going to see 6 images and then 6 written descriptions below. I'd like you to try to match them together. Now, if you look at page 5, there's 2 paragraphs at the top to read. I'd like you to try to determine the order of events in the picture. Please don't forget to include the fault line and the stream in your order. Okay, try your best to do this. This can get a little bit tricky. I will make sure that all of you know how to do this image when I see you next in class on Monday, but give it your best try. And then also continue working on pages 6 through 8. So you need to complete through page 8. If those things do not get done, please make sure that they are completed for class on Monday. I will not see you this week, Thursday, for class. Well, actually, I'll see 1-2B, but 1-2B, we're going to be watching a movie. But all the other classes, I won't see you. And so I'll see you guys on Monday, and we will continue this lesson then. So good luck. Hopefully you guys are able to figure out quite a bit of it without me, and I will see you soon.